5 weeks after a gunman with an assault rifle murdered 19 children and 2 teachers in a Uvalde, Texas elementary school, we've heard a lot of conflicting official accounts of what went wrong with the law enforcement response that day, which the head of DPS has called an abject failure because officers were massed outside those classrooms. They had protection and they certainly had plenty of firepower, but didn't go in for more than an hour. Jason Whiteley is with us once again. We co-host the Politics Texas Political Podcast, and this week's episode features the state senator from Uvalde who says it's not just good enough to call this a failure, Jason, that we actually need to know what went wrong with that law enforcement response so that we can respond better next time. Yeah. But he says that local and state authorities have been resisting releasing the details and the evidence of what happened, even though a state senator is asking for that info.
He's asking for it. We're asking for it. So many people across the state are asking for this. Here's what's interesting about this. A lot of times, as you know, details of investigations are often kept quiet until things turn into a prosecution. There's no one to prosecute in this case.
The shooter's dead.
The shooter is dead. The district attorney for Uvalde also said she is not going to investigate anything. So there's no case in order to hold this information back.
So a lot of people are saying this is a cover-up at this point.
Where is the information is what Senator Gutierrez is asking. And they said, you know what, Senator Gutierrez, you could come see this information, but before you see it, you've got to sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, which shocked us. Here's what he had to say.
There is no legal justification or rationale for keeping this information from us. At one point, they wanted me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I will not do that. I will not going to sign a non-disclosure agreement for this information because the public needs to know, my constituents need to know.
Everybody does need to know, what went wrong here. Interesting thing, though, just to put that in perspective, he said he's only been asked one time before since he's been serving in Austin to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and that was because of a competitive industry-related thing where they were considering a bill related to marijuana or CBD, hemp, and so he signed that in that case. He said, this is incredibly unusual to have to sign a non-disclosure agreement for evidence from a law enforcement response.
At the end of the day, what he told us in the podcast is there were 6 or 7 local cops from Uvalde there. There were 81 state troopers. DPS had the majority of all law enforcement there, and then there were a handful of feds there from the Customs and Border Patrol. So he wants to see, and a lot of us want to see, the 911 calls. We want to hear those. We want to see the body cams. We asked the senator, what do you think's on those? Why aren't they showing them to you? You know what he said? We think, I expect there's going to be chaos that's on there. No one really knew what was going on or who was in charge.
Because it'll have all of those officer-to-officer communications as well while they were out there in that hallway, again, for more than an hour. Now, Senator Gutierrez proudly proclaims he is a gun owner. He does believe that there needs to be some real action, though, in the next legislative session, which starts in January. He is planning some of that. He even says that privately, some Republicans have told him that they agree with him on some of the things that he is talking about. He has also, though, been speaking with these grieving families in Uvalde. He's been attending the funerals of these little kids. And he says that this has changed him. This has changed him and made this his mission for as long as he serves. Take a listen.
For the rest of my career, as long as people have me in there, this is what I'm going to be talking about. I've seen and heard stories that I dare not say. I will at some point. I've asked parents to allow me to talk about it, and most have said yes. There has to be a moment in this country where we have what Emmett Till's mother had, which was the strength to show the world her son and what those men had done to her son. I saw 7 kids, 7 little girls in coffins. I have 2 daughters of my own. I wish I could have gone to all of them.
Wishes he could have gone to all of the funerals of those 19 kids there in Uvalde. You know, something I picked up on there, Jason, that he said, he asked the parents if he could share some of the details that, he thinks will just blow the public away. He says in a lot of cases they have told him yes, but he doesn't dare to tell us those stories. I wonder if those stories are going to come out in the next legislative session when he starts pursuing legislation.
Yeah, potentially so, Jason. We talked to a lot of lawmakers on Politics. Republicans and Democrats, all of them have one thing in common. They have talking points. They have something they want to get across. In this episode, Senator Gutierrez is speaking from the heart. There's nothing he wants to get across except the feelings and the hurt and the pain that these people in Uvalde are going through right now.
There was a lot of raw emotion from him in this one. Haven't seen that before with an elected lawmaker in a podcast. And when we have him on Zoom like that, he was choking back tears several times there. But some really interesting discussions, though, particularly about when is this information going to come out? Just in case, God forbid, it happens again here in this state, maybe the law enforcement response could be better, but we have to know specifically what failed this time around.
Will we ever see that information?
It'll come out eventually. We'll see how fast. Chase, thanks for being here. If you'd like to listen to the latest episode on the Uvalde investigation and where it stands right now, Senator Gutierrez has actually sued the state to get this information. All you have to do is scan the QR code on your screen there. It will take you right to this latest episode. And as always, subscribe while you're there and leave us some feedback. We do love to hear from you.